There we go. Oh, look at that intro. Yeah, just reeling them in, baby. Reeling them in. What's going on, everybody? I'm Howard Bender. Welcome to Alarm Fantasy Football. We got so much going on here today. First and foremost, allow me to say a big thank you to John and Pemba for covering for me for yesterday's show. Circumstances beyond my control. Well, but it gave them to you guys here. Andrew Cooper here by my side. It's fantasy football trade talk time. Buy low, sell high, all the fantasy football picks you need here. Start putting those questions into our chat. What is going on, Coop?
What's up, my dude? Rex Timotheus, dude, who's here every day. Why are we dancing, dude? We're dancing for two reasons, dude. One, because we got Brian Burns on the ones and twos behind the glass.
I have nothing but the highest regard for Brian Burns.
Spinning up the tracks.
And you can't even ask him to say hello because you won't even say hello. It won't pop the mic, say hello. He'll just play that drop.
Can't do it. Every time we ask him to, I picture him just like scrambling around to like put a shirt on. You know what I mean? Like put down whatever bowl of cereal he's probably eating.
Correct the mundo.
But yes, and the other reason we're dancing is because it's football talk time. We're here with you guys. And yesterday we did waiver questions. You got your claims in, and you either got your guys or you didn't. Now, hopefully you plugged some of the holes in your boat. We're going to plug the rest with trade talk today. So get your trade questions in today. Little secret, if you ask us start sit questions, we'll probably answer them anyway, but we won't be happy about it because we do start sits tomorrow. We still got to see who practices today, who doesn't. We're going to do trades today and then waiver and then start sits tomorrow. So get your trade questions in. Let's go, right?
Let's do it. Absolutely. While those trade questions come in, by the way, Rex Timotheus, we're also dancing because you won a bunch of money playing DFS over the weekend there, a little NFL DFS action for you. So I always like to celebrate when the family wins. That's I mean, it's the funniest thing. Like, I don't care about my play. My play is my play, and that's it. Yes, if I bink a ginormous GPP, I'll broadcast that to the universe here. But for me, it's more about you guys out there, you winning, you being better fantasy players, you being better DFS players. That's why Fantasy Alarm is set up with the people that it's set up with. So while you guys get those questions in those chat rooms, and I already see them bumping there, say hello to everybody out there. Freddie and Rod and Mateo's in there. Sean's in there. Hal, I see Skinny. Loving it. Absolutely.
Gang's here.
Loving it. What's that?
Gang's all here, baby. Let's
Gang's
go.
All here, dude. Man. All right. So while we get those in there, let's talk a little bit of the news and notes around the NFL. Some stuff that's obviously going to affect certain things. Number one, and I'll tell you what, I was talking yesterday on the to Britt Flynn about waiver wire stuff, and I'm curious as to your thoughts here because I'm looking at the Cleveland situation, and not even the fact that Kevin Stefanski already told everybody today that PJ Walker is starting in week 8. So take all your Deshaun Watson stuff and just put it away. That dude does not want to play football anymore. Bottom line, he doesn't want to play football anymore. And the Browns got they got catfished by Deshaun Watson into that guaranteed money. So we'll talk more about that. I think it's more important to talk about their backfield situation right now because with Jerome Ford out for 1 to 2 weeks, they say. You've got Kareem Hunt there. You've got Pierre Strong. Everybody's jumping in on Pierre Strong because, he outsnapped Kareem Hunt and he outtouched Kareem Hunt. And he looked fairly productive in this matchup against the Colts. That was great and all. Kareem Hunt still found the end zone. And here's the thing. Like, Kareem Hunt had a thigh injury going into last week's game. He was questionable leading into the game. Like, we found out Saturday night that he was playing. So now I know everybody's going after, looking for, Pierre Strong, but I kind of still think that this might be Kareem Hunt's backfield, Coop.
No, I'm fully with you on that. And the thing is, what we do as fantasy gamers, especially people that play Dynasty, is we have our preconceived notions. When we looked at the speed for this guy, Pierre Strong, and where he was drafted, he was like a 4th round pick, and we say, wow, 99th percentile speed. This is exciting, right? But the reality is the Patriots drafted this guy and they gave up on him during his rookie contract to sign like Zeke Elliott, right? And this team had Pierre Strong in-house hanging out, and they still felt the need to go out and get Kareem Hunt. So for me, I imagine that Pierre Strong has some things he can do and a lot of limitations. And one thing we know that Kareem Hunt can do for sure is pass block and play on pass downs and get that workload. So I could see a situation, Howard, where Pierre Strong gets a lot of those like gadgety plays, right?
Mhm.
Like the early Tony Pollard versus Zeke split, where at the end of the day, the high leverage work goes to Kareem Hunt. The goal line work goes to Hunt. The pass work goes to Hunt. And it's not going to look pretty, but it's going to equate to more points, just like that situation. So, yeah, I have Kareem Hunt over Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong, the thing is, he's, as Chris Allis points out, yeah, he had a good run. And they pulled him right back out. That's what happens when you're that guy. When you're the guy that does the explosive gadgety stuff, then they say, hey, you know what? Now we need somebody that can pass block. Now we need somebody that can get 1 yard on 3rd and 1. And that's probably not Pierre Strong. So just
I know that guy.
we
I
know
mean,
that guy.
I just want to make sure. Like, and I brought this up on the show yesterday also because I didn't want people to just overinvest in Pierre Strong on the waiver wire, especially because, this is a week where there are no bye weeks. There's nobody off this week, which is fantastic. And, it wasn't really that tasty of a waiver wire period anyway, which is why I think the fantasy football trading that's going on that we're looking at here, I think that's probably going to be a little bit more important. Touching on some other news stuff here. Ian Rappaport says Will Levis will be the primary QB for week 8, but Malik Willis, if you're still going to see him, forget it. Forget the Titans. If it's not Derrick Henry, don't do it. Because as much as I love Treylon Burks as a player, as much as I love DeAndre Hopkins as a player, as much as I love Chigakonkwo as a player, Coop, I can't trust anything in this passing attack.
No way, dude. Not until we see what we have going on here. And you can't trust, like, Will Levis for me is going to be ranked QB 32 and Malik Willis will be QB 33 because I could see a world where Will Levis is a starter and then they have like a wildcat package at the goal line for Malik Willis and it just saps any possibility that Levis can throw a touchdown pass and you get the Taysom Hill situation. So yeah, I'm out on it. I do want to see what Will Levis can do though, because this guy, say what you will about him, attitude, the rest of the stuff. This guy's a cannon.
Oh, does he have an attitude problem? Like I see. That's the funny thing is like, I'm not a college football guy at all, so I didn't see what he was all about in college. When they land in a spot in the NFL, and I feel like it's worth like really diving into, then I'll dive into it. So I didn't know he's got an attitude issue.
Little bit of a remember Ryan Mallett? The rumors going on Ryan Mallett, where it's like, who's got a Scantron for Ryan Mallett, right? Like a little bit of that going on. I'm not sure if he's hanging out with us today, but Dustin Ludke from Dynasty Pros goes to the draft. He had some insights on some certain players, and some guys, the way they come off. I mean, that's been kind of the narrative with Will Levis. But who he reminds me of? If I had to put a comparison on this guy, Jay Cutler, dude. Jay Cutler, where he just comes out and he don't care, but he also has like an absolute rocket of an arm, physical specimen. Jay Cutler at the combine, quarterbacks don't do the bench press. Jay Cutler said, I'm doing it anyway. And he ripped off like 24 reps, which is like tight end range, like he had the physical ability. He just didn't have the mental. And that's what they say about Will Levis, a lot of back foot throws. But I will say those quarterbacks could be pretty fun to watch because if they're just willing to chuck it downfield, don't care if they throw an interception, this is my shot. I'm going to go out and huck chuck. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to watch it, but from fantasy football, I'm not touching any of it.
No, shout out to Jay Cutler. Anybody who can sit there with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth while the helmet was on and like playing cat, like I'm sorry. I mean, I'm a former smoker. Every once in a while, I like to cheat. And that's
you're a little bit of a Len Dawson. A little
bit of a Len Dawson in there. So practice reports coming in and out right now for Wednesdays. Some things to remember, guys. Wednesday is traditionally a veteran day off. And if you are banged up, they're going to hold you out for Wednesday anyway. So like, Kareem Hunt missing practice today, that doesn't bother me. That okay, go ahead, get healthy. I'll watch you practice on Thursday and Friday, and then I'll care. Seeing a guy like Bijan Robinson expected to return to practice on a Wednesday, that's also a very positive trend as well. You want those guys who sat out to practice on Wednesday, and because then it's wheels up for them. But I'm just saying, don't overreact. Like if you see a guy practicing, that's great. But if you don't see a guy practicing, just keep in mind, look at what his status was heading into last week.
Calvin Johnson didn't practice on a Wednesday for the last 5 years of his career. Not a single Wednesday.
Really? Was it only 5 years? I mean,
Like,
he shortened his career for sure, but I don't think I remember.
I
Like
remember
Julio
him
Jones
ever.
never practiced on a Wednesday.
No.
Never.
Never. Yeah. Some guys are just, there's the understanding that you know what you're getting on Sunday and they don't need to come out and risk anything on Wednesday. So,
We're
but you're
talking
right.
about practice.
We're talking about practice. So you're right, Howard. The most important thing is injured guys getting back out there, right? Last week, Wan'Dale Robinson practiced on Thursday for the first time all year. That matters to us. So, we'll let you know on those. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. And that's honestly why we try and wait till tomorrow to do all our start sit questions, because you get a little more information on Wednesday, you get a little more information on Thursday morning, and now we can actually do that. So we're doing trades today, start tomorrow.
Beautiful. All right, let's hit the chat for a little bit here and see what's going on. Sean's asking Kareem Hunt and Drake London for Hollywood Brown. And then right afterwards, Mateo Feo, Ugly Matty, is asking if Kareem Hunt is hurt. Well, I mean, he had a thigh issue coming into the game last week. Played, was fine. But, they obviously they kind of pulled back a little bit and utilized Pierre Strong a lot more in that. I think Hunt is going to be fine today. Missing practice doesn't matter to me. But here you go. Hunt and Drake London for Hollywood Brown. I find that interesting, right?
I don't
It's
know
a
if,
weird one.
I'll tell you, honestly, the reason that I'm going to say don't do the trade is that if the question was Drake London straight up for Hollywood Brown, I'm not sure I would be on the Hollywood Brown side. For you to trade for Hollywood Brown, it has to be full PPR because he's getting like 10 targets or whatever, but he's catching like 4 of them. Right? Like the targets are there, but he's not really doing anything with them. Whereas Drake London, when he gets an opportunity, he's actually looked pretty good. So I don't know, man. I think I would just stick with Kareem Hunt and Drake London.
Yeah, I probably would as well. I mean, again, I think you can honestly get, in this running back economy in which we live right now. I think you can probably get Hollywood Brown straight up for Kareem Hunt if he has a strong game here. Because remember, there's no Nick Chubb that we're worrying about. And yes, Jerome Ford will be back in 1 to 2 weeks, but these are opportunities for Kareem Hunt to continue to carve a larger and larger role. When Jerome Ford gets back, you could see closer to, like a fairly close to an even split between the two of them while Pierre Strong goes and jerks himself off in the back room. Like that's really what could happen. So I would watch, on underselling Kareem Hunt right now. And I hate Kareem Hunt. I'm not a Kareem Hunt fan. I was a fan his rookie season. And since then it's been way downhill. And yet I still think that he's got a little bit more value in that capacity. We also have to see what happens with Hollywood Brown. Is Hollywood Brown going to get the 10 targets when Kyler Murray is out there? Like we see what's going on with Josh Dobbs locking into him, but Kyler Murray, I'm not saying that Kyler Murray is like Mr. Spread it around, but
he's more of a
different matchup.
Right. It's like, so Josh Dobbs, I mean, he runs a little bit, but he seems more interested in throwing it to the first progression and throwing those short passes. Whereas Kyler Murray, he likes to run around, man. We see it all the time with these quarterbacks that run around. They're not looking for the short pass. They want to find somebody that gets away downfield, that gets loose downfield, right? So I don't know. Yeah, I think you might be right. It's like when they switch things up, you got to be nervous for the guy getting 10 targets because it's not going to get better. You can only either stay the same or get worse.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Freddie Ramirez. You love this stuff here, Coop. I know. He's thinking about targeting Justin Jefferson in a trade. What should I be willing to give up? I got Tyreek, St. Brown, Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers, Breece Hall, Raheem Mostert, Saquon Barkley. Wow. Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I'm looking at this right now and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
so you
go do it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If John and Pemba were here right now, he would call all of us stupid. He wouldn't even let me speak. He would not even let me speak. That's why we have to do shows with him. John would literally just say, no, you don't trade for hurt players. And he wouldn't let me say anything.
He's so afraid of Jefferson not coming back.
He hates that. And he makes a very, 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 very good point. Now I will make an additional point on top of it. If your team is like 7-0 or 6-1, and all you're focused on is building an absolute wagon for the playoffs, then you just look at your lineup right now and you say, how do I maximize my team coming down the stretch, right? You don't trade Tyreek. You don't trade St. Brown, right? So if you're going to trade wide receivers as part of this, it's got to be Evans, Myers, that crew, right? Then you look at the rest of this gang, and you want to have Breece Hall, you want to have Saquon. Raheem Mostert is a guy where you look and say, hey, you know what? A little spoiler. I mean, Howard, you know what? I'm just going to get to it right now because we're going to talk about some buy low and sell high guys.
Mm-hmm.
My sell high player is Raheem Mostert.
Raheem Mostert. Yeah,
and
makes sense.
It's crazy to say it because of how good he's been, but and he's in your lineup right now, no matter what. And you don't sell him for cheap, but you have to keep in mind, Jeff Wilson's coming back. He's a plotter. When his ribs are healthy, they're going to use him that way. They use Salvin Ahmed a little bit here. Mostert didn't get the full job. Devon A-Chain's coming back. He's absolutely crazy explosive. Literally the most points per game of any RB on a per game basis. And then Mostert himself, 31 years old, been hurt virtually every single season. They're not going to want to give him the full role. So I think that's a guy from this squad. If you want to say, hey, you know what, down the stretch, I'm going to maximize this team. I think Mostert would be a good guy to put in that trade, knowing that, imagine this team with the wide receivers are Tyreek, St. Brown, Jefferson. It doesn't even matter who your running backs are, right?
It does not. It does not. I like that. You know what? And I'm going to give you my sell high then also because, hey, wouldn't that be great if we just – is that an Arizona Diamondback shirt you're wearing?
Hell yeah, dude. We're going.
Dude.
Let's go. I'm drinking out of my Archie Bradley cup.
Oh, look at you.
That's my NL squad. I'm a Sox fan, but you're allowed to have an AL NL team.
Listen, I thought
you
it
are
was
a
great.
smelly pirate hooker.
I am waiting to see Mad Dog Russo's retirement announcement. I'd like to see that as well. But anyway, my sell high here, let me get back to business, right, it's Deonta Foreman, who, if you kind of look at it, was like, the poor man's Raheem Mostert, because Roschon Johnson's going to clear concussion protocol eventually. I don't even know if it's this week or not, but we're going to kind of wait and see. He does have another hurdle to get over. But creeping up on us is going to be the return of Khalil Herbert. And so once you've got Deonta Foreman and Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson all in that mix, it's going to be tough. So what you do is you take Deonta Foreman and you sell him to somebody who not only needs the win this week or possibly even next week, but also like needs a running back, like desperate for RB help, needs to win, it's like maybe they're sitting there at, 3-4 and they're sitting on that borderline. Offer up Deonta Foreman. You don't have to ask for the world back in return. Come off like the nice guy maybe and just, grab like their wide receiver too. Whatever the case may be, don't get greedy, but this is like a perfect opportunity in order to do that. And if they, if they say, well, why are you selling him now? Just be like, got other guys that I'm looking to put in from my roster or,
I wish you weren't a liar.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you got to stretch the truth a little bit, Brian Burns, like you do here, like calling yourself a producer when all you really do is just pushing a button that just has all these drops in it. You're just like beep, beep, beep.
Do not tempt him, Howard. Do not tempt him, man. He will take over.
He's cute. Who's he? Brian Burns. That's my guy.
The sound. This show will be half soundboard if you keep tempting him.
Why don't you go back to your home on Whore Island?
You have to now go back to the editing button because when you pull that clip, buddy, you're gonna have to take out all your silly drops. So those are our sell highs right there. Raheem Mostert for Coop, Deonta Foreman for me. You got thoughts on Deonta?
Bingo. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna say that when you talk about these teams, when you're selling to teams that have 2 wins, 3 wins, use the upcoming bye weeks to your favor. Turn to these guys and I look at it and like let's say next week you got the Broncos, Lions, Jaguars, 49ers. There are some underperforming guys in there where you look at Deonta Foreman and we think the reality is he might go back to an asset that is worth 0, right? He was a healthy scratch earlier in the year. So when Herbert's back, Roschon's back, he goes back to 0. Why not say, hey, you know what? Calvin Ridley's been struggling. He goes on bye next week. You can't even use him next week anyway. Why don't you give me that player, right? Cortland Sutton for the Broncos. He goes on bye next week. Go out and target guys that you're the person you're trading with. You actually are helping them. They can't lose any more weeks. So, buy low. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Because Foreman was going to go back to being a 0 anyway. So that's what I'm doing.
Foreman was going back to being a zero anyway. It's hurtful, yes. Sorry if Deonta, if your mom's watching this show, but
He's
He's
rich. You know what I mean? Like
he's rich.
He's rich. He'll be fine.
He get $6 million for this 2-year deal. Is that what it was, or was it a 3-year $6 million? Either way, $6 million.
Go out, buy a car wash or two, man. Like you're all set. Car wash,
Right?
ground
Just
lease.
invest in that. Invest in the car wash. Look at you.
That's easy.
Smart.
Bro.
Get like an electric car charging station there as well.
Always got to.
All right. Trade question here from Rod Elliott. Dynasty trade question here. Would you trade George Kittle, Josh Reynolds, and a first rounder? Let's see. Pick is currently going to be number 2 overall for Cooper Kupp.
No. If you think that pick is going to be number 2 overall, I think that you're giving up a little. Well, actually, I don't know, man, because I just did a trade similar to this. I traded my pick for Cooper Kupp, but my team is awesome, so my pick's not going to be.
He just said he's got a team that can win it all.
Yeah, I think you do it then. I think you do it because Kittle's getting up there too, man. And Kittle hasn't really been producing. Josh Reynolds is a nothing. So this really is kind of a first round pick for Cooper Kupp. So yeah, you know what? Do it. Put your name on the trophy.
Yeah, Rod says he can move Kittle because he's got Kyle Pitts as well.
There you go, dude.
There
Kyle
you go.
Pitts, man.
All right. Ugly
he's
Maddie
gonna be
says,
good.
can you trade Dotson and Elijah Moore together for one starter? Sure, but like that one starter is going to be like Kendrick Bourne.
That's what I'm saying. Like, anytime you can trade guys you can't start for guys you can, you do it.
Yes. Make that move in a heartbeat, man. Somebody in your league is a Jahan Dotson truther. Somebody is. Target that person.
For sure.
No doubt. Hal says he sucks at DFS. Sorry, Hal. You should just stick with the family here and like come to me for some like thoughts and advice. I had one of my boys who like from Discord hit me up, was like, I need some help. I really need some advice. So I did a one-on-one session with him, right? Because I'm a nice guy. And we sat there on the phone. We kind of went through it, whatever. He just won $400 this past week.
Bam.
So
yeah, I talk to Hal all the time, man, and Hal and I have the same problem where we try and get too cute. Chris Sellers has the same problem too, Howard, where we're just trying to get too cute with the plays. So maybe go out this week and make a lineup that you think is boring. Sometimes those are the ones that you got to make, and they hit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Listen, and you can hit me up for it too. Like I'm happy to like sit there and talk through it. Just again, it's about explaining things like cash games versus GPP and how you put it all together. And like this is what we do. We do this to make you better players. And so I'm more than happy, to help through it. I mean, it was very cool to like sit and have a conversation with this dude, random dude in Baton Rouge, part of the family, subscriber, which by the way, guys, fantasyalarm.com/lock, promo code lock. If you don't subscribe to Fantasy Alarm, get in on this now because it's basically $16 a month. You're paying up front for it, but it's $16 a month for a year. All the draft guides, all the cheat sheets, all the content, seasonal DFS, betting content, all full access in the Discord, full access to the guys like me and Coop and everything like that. So do yourselves a favor. Do we have like a QR code that we can put up here, Brian? I would love to see a QR code for fantasyalarm.com/lock, promo code lock. We'll get that working for you guys at some point.
I can put it up because I'm awesome.
There it is. Look at that.
Hey, how about that, Burns? Welcome to the show.
Scan that. I almost said a bad word. But scan that right there. Jump in with the family. I'm telling you, it's so insanely worth it, and you won't find a better deal anywhere in the industry.
Right. Anywhere. I mean, Rex Timotheus from the chat just on $150 or so worth of entries this week won like $4,500. So his membership is paid for a while.
Right? He did it again. He said an NBA DFS last night, thanks to John and the crew. So
yeah,
I mean,
crush. Wembanyama tonight. Man. The long arm boy. Let's go.
I actually root against Groper Cleveland.
I don't know how to take that QR code off. We're just gonna leave it up.
Yeah, might as well. Go ahead. Oh, it was there. It was gone. It was there. All right. Enough.
Okay. All right. Sorry, everybody.
Let's
back
see.
to your
Rex is
regularly
having a
scheduled
good week.
program.
Pierre Strong had a great run. I'm just going through the chat questions here right now before we start playing around with some higher or lower. Jeff Short just wants to know Tony Pollard or Darrell Henderson. I feel like if you're gonna go with anybody, you have to go with Tony Pollard. Now, this week, next week, the rest of the season,
Forever.
Tony Pollard over Darrell Henderson.
Yeah, Tony Pollard and Travis Etienne are like back in they're right there next to each other for me because they're only two guys that are playing like 70% of the snaps, man. You got and the offenses can move the ball. So Tony Pollard's locked in. I just can't imagine a world where I have a team where Tony Pollard's on the bench, you know?
Yeah, no, don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it. Especially for Darrell Henderson, too. Against the Dallas defense this week. Like, I know that Dallas isn't like the be-all, end-all of stuff in the run, but you're also talking about a coach in Sean McVay, who loves to throw the ball. So, yes, I mean, he does, incorporate certain things, but I don't think he's like, you're not going to get a half of Darrell Henderson like he got that second half from Kyron Williams, right? Where he just fed Williams the ball and then Williams got hurt. Like you're not going to see that out of him. Tony Pollard will get work. He'll get work. Hal says he's got Justin Fields. Should I look to trade him or hold? Now, we already know that he's out for this week. Tyson Secret Bajent Man is going to be the guy. Where are you at with Fields? Are you a Fields, I'm not going to say truther, but are you in favor of utilizing him once he comes back from this thumb issue?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a high-end quarterback, I treat it the same way I treat tight end, where I'll roster two. I'll start a quote-unquote boring guy like a Goff or a Kirk Cousins, and with a bench spot or an IR spot, ideally, I have Fields. I have Kyler Murray. In one league where I have a ton of IR spots, I have Anthony Richardson in there. Until they say he's definitively done for the season, I say, hey, you know what? I'll just hang. You have to take shots on these high-risk assets. So if you can hold Fields, I would hold him just because there's that mobility offers a different level of weekly upside that, some of these other guys, Jared Goff, unless he does a QB sneak touchdown, he needs to throw like 5-6 touchdowns to have the upside of these mobile guys. It's just the way it works.
All right. Beautiful. Let's see. I wish Iverson. I'm not talking basketball. I don't care about basketball.
He was nasty at football. People don't know. Iverson was a nasty.
I don't even want to talk Iverson. Okay, I know you don't want to see a start sit, but it's truly a hard one. So which of these? Yeah, get your Twitch glasses on.
Twitch gang in the house, boy.
Which one would you sit? Breece Hall, JT, or Mostert? So Breece Hall going up against the Giants. That's a rock solid spot. Jonathan Taylor going up against the Saints. That's a little on the tougher side. And then Raheem Mostert going up against the Patriots, which,
fine.
It's the Patriots.
Yeah,
I'm leaning sitting JT.
Yeah, I'm going to sit JT too. I mean, it kind of sucks that JT came back at the worst possible time. He comes back to face the Browns and then the Saints. Yeesh, man. I could see them splitting it up again. JT's a guy that you're hopeful for down the stretch, but at least he's getting these tough matchups out of the way early. So yeah, you can go ahead and sit Breece. sit JT. Start Breece.
Sit JT. Start Breece. I already got Breece is already sitting in the watch list right now. So I'm like, nice. I'm ready for Breece Hall this week. And I love his you know what? I'll save that for a little later. I was gonna say I love his underdog line, but we'll talk. We'll talk just about it. I want to answer Hal's question. Would you try to buy Jaleel McLaughlin if you have Javonte Williams? I say yes.
Yeah,
you don't have to give up. I mean, you shouldn't be giving up anything more than like your fourth or fifth wide receiver, but I would do it.
Yeah, the guy who has Jaleel McLaughlin is nervous. He's thinking about dropping him. So yeah, I would give up last bench spot for him.
Yeah. I think that's Dalton Kincaid in my league.
Hey.
Oh, sorry.
Not on Kincaid week. Not on Kincaid week.
You know what? I'll say this. Yeah, it is Kincaid week. Coop, this guy. he's co-hosting with me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio today. Spoiler alert, it's Love Letters Day.
What do you think mine's going to be about?
Week.
We'll
So
see.
I'm just gonna let that marinate and say 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern on Channel 87, Sirius
We'll see.
XM.
We'll see
I
if there,
love it.
there might be a little Duncan Kincaid talk, perhaps.
There might be. There
we'll
might
see.
be. Daniel Kavanaugh asks, is Jacobs a good buy low for Dynasty? So, all right, let me just say this about him right now. He's running very inefficiently through the first 7 weeks of the season, which kind of bothers me, but it kind of puts me all more on the fact that maybe this is more of a Raiders offensive line issue than it is a Josh Jacobs issue. Like, I mean, he's just his yards per carry. I don't think it's more than 3.8 in any game. And it's a little worrisome there, but I don't think he's got too much tread on the tires. So, I mean, I think you could, if you're in like a win now mentality with an eye on the future, then yeah, I think that you can try and buy low on him. That's my call though. What do you think, Coop?
I'm with you. Anytime that you're trading for a running back, you have to be ready to compete either now or next year. And I honestly feel like running back of any age, man, because it can change so fast and the wheels can fall off so fast. And if the team's bad, then the player's bad. It's out of your hands. So if you're going to trade for a running back, you got to be ready to compete now. So if you're one of the better teams in your league, I do it. So his usage is good, at least. Very few guys getting that many snaps.
I just Mr. Miyagi'd one fly, and now there's another. He's got a friend with him here. So
you know what it was, Howard? Is that you missed the Tuesday show yesterday, and they were sitting there like, "Where is he?" And they hung out. They had to ambush you on Wednesday, dude.
Well, one of them is now dead because I just Miyagi'd him out of thin air. South Sco 650 says, all right, so he's 4-3. Here we go, Coop. Ready? He's 4-3. It's a 14-team half-point PPR.
Okay.
All right. He's trying to improve his team. He's like looking to package for another wide receiver or a better running back tight end. So here's what we're looking at, I think. He's got Geno. He's got Tyreek. He's got Chase. He's got Breece Hall. He's got Jonathan Taylor. He's got Logan Thomas and DJ Moore. Boom. His bench is Rashid Rice. KB. Who's KB? Which is KB?
KB.
KB. Oh.
Yeah, that's a good question.
We'll figure that out. Henderson, Strong, Singletary, Kyron Williams. That's what he's working with right now. On IR, he's got Herbert and Murray. Should I try to package for a QB or wait on Kyler Murray? He's got Geno Smith right now. I think you wait on Kyler Murray.
Yeah, because I think the problem is that your team is too thin to give much up. Because they're not going to want Geno as part of the trade, and you don't really have enough on the bench unless KB is some amazing player that we can't really even think of. I'm not even sure who that would be. But yeah, so I don't think you have enough to make a move. Kendrick Bourne. Bourne. Actually is a solid player.
Well, yeah, all caps too, right? Like he's got to be. Are you from the Boston area, man? You don't have to shout Kendrick Bourne at us. It's okay.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I like Kendrick Bourne. I just don't think you got enough. Trading for a quarterback in a single QB league is such a luxury move that I don't think you need to do it. Just wait for Kyler.
Yeah, right. What, 2 starts out of Geno? Who are the Seahawks? Jeez Louise, this fly is just driving me nuts. So Cleveland's a tough matchup here for Geno. And then the week after that, he's got the Ravens, who actually kind of have a little bit of a soft secondary.
Yeah. No, yeah,
and then you've got the Commanders, who are a terrible secondary.
Right.
Coming up after that. So I think you're fine here with Geno. I think you can tough it out.
You got to remember that they started the window for Kyler. So this isn't a situation where we're not going to have information on Kyler. Like, he's either coming back within the next couple weeks or he's done for the year, right? They have to activate him. So like
Trey Flowers got released by the Patriots today because they weren't going to activate him inside his 21-day window. So that's, the
clock's
Kyler's
ticking.
Going to come back.
The clock is ticking.
So Hal says running backs are Najee, Javante, Pierce, Wilson, and Achane. would you try to give Musgrave and Javonte Williams for Mark Andrews to a 2-5 team who owns McLaughlin and won't trade him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Musgrave to me is a non-entity there. So it's Javonte for Mark Andrews, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Musgrave right now, he actually might even be hurt. So that could be tough to get away with, but if you can do it, I'd absolutely do it.
Cooper Kupp is 30, isn't he? I'm not going to do that with a top 3. I think shelf life for receivers ain't so terrible, right?
Right.
I think he can definitely. I think Cooper Kupp's got a couple more years in him. I'm not worried about that. I look at for me, like, that's the thing. Like, I'm looking at what's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 years. That's like your average shelf life of like quality from a fantasy football player there, right? Like, very, very few players go and give you 10 years of strong production unless it's a quarterback.
And as sad as it is, you have to also consider the potential shelf life of your dynasty league. Like, I mean, I took over Lisa Ann's team in the Sirius XM Dynasty League, and I turned things around. I had Travis Etienne, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin. League shuts down. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. People trading for all these picks that, if you trust the people in the league and you know that you're going to play for a decade or whatever, then yeah, go crazy trading for future assets. But just keep in mind, sometimes that happens, dude. I was like, dude, come on now. I just did this crazy rebuild, and everyone's like, we don't want to play.
Welcome to Sirius XM host leagues.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Come on.
PPR, M. Rojas in the house here. He's 3-4. What do you guys think about this offer? Cooper plus Foreman plus Dobbs for Pacheco plus Sutton. Amari Cooper, Deonta Foreman, and Romeo Dobbs for Pacheco and Sutton. I'm 100% in on that.
Yeah, for sure. Pacheco he looks great. He looks great, man. He's getting all the run work and half the pass work on the one of the best offenses in the league. You can just get Pacheco. Get him.
Get it. And Courtland Sutton, again, another strong game from him. Number 1 targeted receiver in that offense. Jerry Jeudy's a ghost.
Lame. He's getting traded.
It's a ghost.
Get him traded, man.
All right. Let's see. What do we got here? Let's see if there's more questions. This is the DFS conversation. Try to trade Ridley in a package for Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle, or keep him for this week. Well, Quinn, I mean, listen, I've got Calvin Ridley in the watch list. There is an audiogram of me floating around on Twitter at SiriusXM Fantasy. I believe it's on Instagram as well, where I talk about the schedule, the upcoming schedule for Calvin Ridley. Like, the inconsistencies to start the season, I think this 2 weeks in London really kind of screwed with the Jags. I really do. All right. So I get that we've had some inconsistency. I don't know what everybody was expecting off of Calvin Ridley last week. You and I, Coop, sat here on Alarm Fantasy Football talking about the Marshawn Lattimore matchup. We talked about it on Sirius XM, on Sunday morning about it. I've talked about it ad nauseum on social media. It was a matchup against Marshawn Lattimore. It was a terrible matchup. Saints defense, solid, given some problems, given some fits, but we knew that was going to be for him. But now if you sit there and you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars upcoming schedule, here we go. Like, the Steelers this week, not a great secondary. Mm-hmm. The 49ers, tougher, unless your name's Jordan Addison.
Right.
So they're beatable.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans, the Texans, the Bengals. Those are and then the Ravens after that, which is another soft secondary. So I'm fine with Calvin Ridley. I'm perfectly fine. I'm holding on to him. I love Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle as well. But I mean, yeah, if you want to package Ridley up with somebody, but I ain't giving a stiff sweetener for him. Not with the next couple of weeks coming up. And if you're somebody who's being offered Calvin Ridley, yeah, you could talk down the price.
Right.
Talk it down and work it.
you carried the water through all these tougher matchups only to trade him for the good ones coming up. The other thing is, I'm a big Jalen Waddle fan, but the fact that he's had this ongoing back issue where he's not practicing this week, he played and then he came out of the game for a big chunk of the game. Someone even said that he right before he went to the locker room, he on the sideline screamed. Like he just like yelled. He was in so much pain. So I'm a little bit worried about Jalen Waddle. I'm not trading anything equal value for Waddle right now while he's dealing with a back issue. Like as Tony Romo once said, who do you know that used to have a bad back?
Who did used to have a bad back?
No, just in general. Like once you have a bad back, like that's what he's pointing out. Like once you have a bad back, like you just have a bad back. Like there's no, you used to have a bad back and now you're good. Like, so be careful with those back injuries, man. There's a lot of muscles back there, a lot that can go wrong.
Indeed. All right, let's keep rolling through here. Is Michael Pittman and Javonte Williams enough to offer to buy low on Bijan? I mean, in Dynasty, listen, I'm not trading Bijan at all in Dynasty, but I mean, it never hurts to at least make the offer.
Yeah, I would try. That's definitely, I mean, for the right person, it could be enough, but I wouldn't trade Bijan for anything. Too valuable.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. House says 14-team PPR. I've got Fields and Malik Willis. Should I try to get Hurts and Nico for Kupp and Najee? Running backs would then be Kamara, Ford/Hunt, McLaughlin, Mitchell. Wide receivers, Downs, Rice, Palmer, DJ Moore.
With those wide receivers, I'd probably feel better having for Kupp and Najee. Yeah. You're
it's a huge upgrade at quarterback.
You're very thin at running back, man.
Very thin at running back. Yeah, I don't know if I would do this deal.
Yeah,
I think I would. I mean, is there anybody on like waivers that you can use as a QB at least for this week like that? Like, I'd rather try and do that and hope that Fields comes back before like really upending with Kupp and Najee.
I would just trade for grab somebody off waivers if they're there, or just use any boring quarterback. But like, I couldn't do that, man, because you're gonna need Kamara, Ford, Hunt, and McLaughlin. McLaughlin's like almost borderline useless, man, and you're gonna have to get through bye weeks and stuff. So you got to keep Najee Harris.
Yeah. All right. Up South Sco 650 says Kendrick Bourne, you idiots.
There it is. Yeah. Oops. Sorry.
That's right. Up there, Mrs. Major says, you guys are awesome.
That's the kind of yelling we like.
Right? There it is. That's you. Use all caps for that one there.
Yeah.
Traded Calvin Ridley, sent away Cortland Sutton. What do you think? Connor LaRose says.
We like both players. Good deal. Yeah.
And you know how much I love Sutton.
Right. So, yeah, we like both players, but I like Ridley, man. And Sutton, I don't know. One of Sutton or Judy are getting traded, I think. After the Chiefs put down the Broncos for good this week, I think there's some trades happening. Sean Payton seems like the exact kind of guy that would come in and, again, he inherited a lot of these players from the old regime there. So probably not enough loyalty. I mean, he immediately cut the kicker, Brandon McManus, right, when he got there. So I could see him doing a lot of moves at this deadline if they give him the green light.
I'm with you on that. A little Twitch question here. Sneaking in a lineup question here of Josh Palmer, Josh Downs, or Cortland Sutton. Palmer, Downs, and Sutton. So, three guys who I think are kind of like wheels up on this, just for what's going on right now. Now, Cortland Sutton, his matchup this week against the Chiefs, it's not a bad matchup. It's not a great matchup. He's going to see a lot of L'Jarius Sneed, I think, in this matchup here. Palmer going up against the Bears secondary. I absolutely love that.
That's it. That's the play.
But, well, wait a minute. Right? I mean, what if I were to say, let me ask you a question here, Andrew.
Go ahead.
If I were to say Josh Downs was going up against Alante Taylor this
Oh
week,
no!
is that something that you'd be interested in, my friend?
That's the matchup of all matchups. That's
Saints,
right.
Saints,
That's
Colts,
Saints.
Alante Taylor, Josh Downs,
Oh no,
Bing
dude.
Bang Boom. It's either that or Joshua Palmer against a soft Bears secondary.
You know, it's funny. You know, I forgot that, Howard, because when I was like doing the show sheet, I was like, oh, I got to make an underdog pick. I immediately went, I said, who's the slot wide receiver facing Alante Taylor? So I scrolled down and underdog won't even let you bet against Alante Taylor anymore because we've made too much money doing it. They're watching the clips that we promote them. They watch the clips and they're like, no more betting against Alante Taylor. So give us our Josh Downs underdog. Let's go. Hopefully closer to Sunday, we get something up there, but it's not even there. So yeah, I'll say this, if it's full PPR, Josh Downs, if it's half or standard, maybe Palmer, because that's the one knock on Josh Downs. He is very low ADOT, but I think it's probably got to be Downs. Palmer's been so good though, man. He could have had even bigger game against the Cowboys. And then last week, 130 yards. So, but yeah, I think it's Downs. What do you think, Howard?
Yeah. What do you mean? What do I think? How did I present that to you?
I think you. I'm just saying, Josh Palmer's been so good, man. I mean, John Impemba he's the one that fully got me on the Palmer wagon, and I'm glad I've been on it. But yeah, go with
the
Downs.
answer is Kendrick Bourne, idiot. All right. Speaking of our friends over at Underdog, again, guys, they're still running this first time deposit bonus. You got to get in on this. All right. Again, it's fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use the promo code alarm. All right. And they'll match your first deposit up to $500. So do yourselves a favor. I mean, listen, you don't have to invest the full 500. If you have that kind of discretionary money, then you might as well, because then it's a free $500 in match deposit. So their pick'em contests are great. Their draft contests are great. You can mix and match, different sports and stuff like that. Like this afternoon, they had a boost. It was a Jason Tatum boost of half a point, higher or lower. And you can mix that with your football picks. You can mix that with your hockey picks, which I did. So I've got it set up right now. I've got a 3-pick thing where I've got the boost here for Jason Tatum. And then I've got my other picks that I have, which I will give to you guys here because they are NFL and they're coming up for Thursday Night Football. I might reiterate this on tomorrow's show, or maybe I give you a different one here. But for Underdog Fantasy Pick'em Contest picks, my 2 favorite plays to pair with any boost that they've got for Thursday Night Football: Mike Evans, 60.5 receiving yards. I'm definitely going higher on that one against the Buffalo Bills, who don't have their top corners right now, and they're just so banged up in the secondary. Baker Mayfield loves throwing to Evans. He's going to have a really nice effort in that one there. So higher than 60.5 receiving yards for Mike Evans. I'm also going to throw in there Josh Allen, half an interception, higher, baby. Why? Listen, Allen's throwing interceptions in every game except for one. Tampa Bay, I think they're like a top 10 team with 6 picks already on the season. So Mike Evans receiving yards higher than 60.5, higher than half an interception for Josh Allen. And maybe Coop, maybe you've got one that you'd like to throw in there, and we can just make this a big old extravaganza.
Let's do it. I like to call him the Josh Allen arm punt. He seems to just love doing that on 3rd and long. Just just chuck it up, dude. It's every week, really, honestly. And it's, if you really think about it, half of them aren't even worse than punts. So just banking on him doing that, it's awesome. I'm going to go back to a player that we've been going against for multiple weeks, and that's Nico Collins. So for 2 weeks now, we've been saying, okay, tough matchup with AJ Terrell. Let's go lower, right? You've got tough matchup with Marshawn Lattimore. Let's go lower. I look at this Carolina Panthers defense. People think they're good against the pass, but when you break it down, it's like they played the they played the Lions without Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Josh Reynolds still had 80 yards of a touchdown. Before the bye, Tyreek Hill came out and had 160 3 yards against
Oh,
them.
dude, you could just talk about the fact that JC Horn's not there, Jeremy Chin's
Right.
not there. Like
It's
this
like-
whole this was a great secondary in week 1.
Right.
And
Now
it's gone downhill ever since.
Now it's in shambles, and they're setting it up the same way. Like the number for Nico Collins is set at 59.5. That's where they had him against AJ Terrell. That's where they had him against Marshawn Lattimore. And I think this is why we waited. This is why we traded for him. And we're going to take advantage of that this week by going higher on that number. So get that one in there.
FantasyAlarm.com/underdog, promo code ALARM. First time depositors get a match deposit up to $500. Phenomenal deal. Jump on it. All right, Coop, we got a couple of minutes left here in the show. Got a lot of chat questions here. A lot of shouting people here.
You tell them not
Daniel
to.
Caps Keenan here. I'm down with running back. So it's is it wise to trade Downs for Mixon or Cook?
So I actually would.
For Mixon, I would.
Yeah. So I guess great time for me to mention. We did our sell highs earlier. My buy low is Joe Mixon. It's Joe Mixon. And honestly, the window to buy him is open now. And it's actually going to stay open through the weekend because he's going to go up against the 49ers. Probably going to struggle a little bit. It's a very good defense, right? So the window to make moves to get Joe Mixon, I'm going to do it now, and just knowing that, okay, I might have one down week here, but down the stretch, I'm going to be better off. But after this week, the window might even be easier to trade for him. But yeah, Josh Downs, we love Downs, but guys like Joe Mixon, running backs that have the full job, that's the currency of fantasy football. That's what makes the world go round. So for me, Joe Mixon, definitely a buy low right now, and Downs is probably a good price.
I'm going to throw in T. Higgins as my buy low. We'll just say buy low on the Bengals. This is where it starts to turn around for Cincinnati, I think, a little bit more. And I think their offense is well worth investing in. Mixon, you can probably, if you can get Mixon for Downs straight up, boom. I love that move immensely. And then you know what? If you don't have any Bengals on your roster, go get yourself some T. Higgins for a very small price. Let's get back in here and jump through it. Would you trade Mostert and Mike Evans for Bijan and Waddle? Hell yeah, Freddie.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, heck yeah, says Chris Alvis, Freddie.
He knows.
Yes. I traded Bijan and Sutton for Jefferson, Mostert, and Madison. I'm 5-2. Is that a W?
Maybe that's the strongest maybe possible, because we have no idea if Justin Jefferson comes back and he's Justin Jefferson, then maybe.
Then sure.
Yeah, but if he doesn't,
Madison still retains his role, and now you're over investing in Vikings because you got Madison in there too.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's no way to tell you right now if that's a W, but I'm rooting for you.
Oh, am I going the wrong one? There we go. Sorry.
I'm rooting for you.
Sorry, I can't figure out a YouTube name. Let's see. Chris, UFC, 10-man, full PPR, giving Kincaid and Puka Nakua for Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown.
Yeah. I'm the biggest Kincaid fan you're going to find, and I still do that because Andrews is just so locked in. He's so dialed in, man. He's the tight end 2 in virtually every category we care about behind our Lord and Savior, Travis Kelce. So he's the next best thing.
All right. Hal says, that Cup and Najee trade that he was looking for Jalen Hurts. It's a super flex league, not a single QB league.
Oh, that changes everything.
It does change everything. Do you want to skip back down to that? Here we go. Nice and quick. He's got Fields and Malik Willis. Trade Cup and Najee for Hurts and Nico Collins.
I mean, anytime you can trade for Hurts and Superflex, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're still soft at running back, but more or less your RB2. Like Kamara will be there, and then you just kind of patch it with the Browns guys and McLaughlin, right? Wide receivers, you're adding Nico, you're losing Cup, but so you're going to have Nico Collins, Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, Joshua Palmer, DJ Moore. I mean, it's not like you don't have Chase or Jefferson level type guys, but I think those guys are all good, solid PPR players here.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts has played 7 games, and he has 6 rushing touchdowns. Like that, the most unstoppable play in football. If you can get Jalen Hurts in a 2 super flex league or 2 quarterback league, you have to do it. You have to do it.
Another super flex here for Hal. 12-team super flex. Drop Watson for Daniel Jones. I have Hurts. Yes. I'm done with Watson. I'm done with him. I don't think this dude even wants to play. We've seen this before with people.
He doesn't want to talk to the media either. That's the scary part, is that if he were coming out and saying, hey, my shoulder's hurt, even, right? Like, but he's supposed to talk on Wednesday. They have a podium in the locker room where players talk every Wednesday, and he just stopped talking. And he doesn't trust the doctors for his organization. And I'm done. Yeah. I'm done, man. I'd rather start Daniel Jones with a broken neck than Daniel Jones out there trying to throw like this than start Deshaun Watson with whatever he's doing.
And I mean, Jones is the starter.
And you have Tyrod. He has Tyrod too.
Yeah, you've got Tyrod, so you've got it handcuffed there. So, you've got Hurts and then whoever the New York QB is. So, and you've got Kyler coming back. So I think you're totally fine there. I think you're fine making this move. I'm so out on Watson.
I finally trusted him again, started him this week, and he scored negative points.
Yeah. Who do you value more rest of season, Jacoby Myers or Mike Evans?
Mike Evans still.
I think I think Evans in half point PPR and standard. Yeah. I might look to more Jacoby Myers in full point PPR because he does get that work. Like, I've never used Jacoby Myers on FanDuel. I only use him on DraftKings because that's the bread and butter is the amount of targets that he sees on the regular.
Half point PPR. I'm checking the schedule to see how many more times Mike Evans is just going to get completely taken out of the game by any reasonable cornerback. That seems to happen. Let's see.
Dun 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 dun.
It looks pretty clear here. Oh man, Bills with no Trey White, Texans, Titans,
not that great. Titans are terrible. Niners are beatable. Colts are bad.
Panthers.
Oh, jeez.
He gets Jair Alexander. Oh, he gets Marshawn Lattimore championship week.
But he'll get the Falcons DBs, and then he'll get Jair Alexander and then
AJ Terrell. So there is a rough stretch there where it's AJ Terrell, Jair Alexander, Marshawn Lattimore. But I mean, what are you going to do? You still start him.
Yeah.
That stretch at the end is real scary, though. I did not know that was there.
I mean, it is, but like, here's the thing, right? You want to get these wins now. Like, I'm not going to sit there and overlook a guy like Mike Evans and, based off of, what he's going to do in the fantasy playoffs right now, because to me, it's too important to get the wins right now. And with 6 straight weeks of potential positive matchups, I'm locking into that. I'll worry about the playoffs when I need to worry about the playoffs because, like, hell, I won the FSGA league with Gardner Minshew as my quarterback, and Isaiah Hodgins was my number 1 wide receiver. Like, you can piece stuff together like that. Get in there first, and if you've got 6 weeks here of like great stuff, great matchups, I'm in on that.
Make the tournament, figure it out. Also, Mike Evans just faced the Falcons and AJ Terrell. He caught 6 of 8 targets for 82 and a touchdown, and one of them was a 40-yard touchdown. So he'll be fine.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here, guys. We've cleared the deck here on the questions. I thank everybody out there for joining us here in the chat. Your questions are always, well received. Obviously, give Coop a follow on Twitter at CoopAFiasco. You can follow me at RotoBuzzGuy. Once again, fantasyalarm.com/lock. Promo code LOCK gets you a year's subscription, $187 up front. Boom. You're done with it. It'll pay for itself like it did for Rex Timotheus here. I mean, that's it. That's my spiel. Love it. See you guys all in Discord. Chat us up. We're here for you. For Andrew Cooper and the illustrious Brian Burns, I'm Howard Benner, the Fantasy Alarm. We'll catch you next time.
I love and respect Brian Burns, and he's got to be